Coming up, it's Belmont High School. Taking on Brookline High School. That's next on High School Quiz Show. Hi, everybody, and welcome to High School Quiz Show. I'm Joe Hanson, your host. Today's match features Belmont and Brookline, who have a combined 19 quiz show appearances between them. And as always, we start with the toss-up round. All answers are worth 10 points. There are no point deductions for wrong answers. And players, you may confer. All right, teams, if you're ready, good luck. Here we go. What historic speech includes the phrase, "We here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain"? Peter.
Gettysburg Address.
Gettysburg Address is right. The Huguenots were Protestants who fled persecution primarily from which European country? Jack.
France.
France is right. The biopic Deliver Me from Nowhere, Jeremy Allen White portrays what rock star dealing with a low point in his life while making the album Nebraska? Jack.
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen is right. In 2025, Disney announced plans for its first theme park in the Middle East. In what capital city of the United Arab Emirates? Jack.
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi is right. For our next question, take a look at your monitors. Considered the worst auto industry flop since the Edsel, what Tesla pickup seen here missed its 2024 sales target by a staggering 84%? Adar.
Cybertruck.
The Cybertruck is right. In the upcoming film Top Gun 3, who reprises one of his most iconic roles, Captain Pete Maverick Mitchell? Andrew.
Cruise.
Tom Cruise is right. Commonly referred to as the gateway to Machu Picchu, what former capital of the Inca Empire is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the Western Hemisphere? Jack.
Cusco.
Cusco is right. The ventricles of the heart contract during the systolic phase and relax during which phase? Andrew.
Diastolic.
Diastolic is right. Our next question comes from a very special guest. Take a look at your monitors.
Come on in. Hey, everybody, I'm Jeff Probst, the host of Survivor. We are celebrating our 50th season this year. All right, you want to know what you're playing for? Well, just like on Survivor, you're going to have to outwit, outplay, and outlast all the other teams in order to claim the High School Quiz Show Championship title. So let's get to it. Here's your challenge. Here's the question. Since our 33rd season, Millennials versus Gen X, Survivor has continuously filmed in the Mamanuca Islands. This volcanic archipelago is part of what island nation in the South Pacific?
Simon.
Federated States of Polynesia.
No, Belmont, you have a chance to answer. Andrew.
Fiji.
Fiji is right. Maybe we'll get to 50 seasons one day. What do you think? What chain of small volcanic islands extends about 1,200 miles westward from the Alaska Peninsula? Simon.
Sorry, I forgot.
Belmont, you have a chance here. Andrew?
Aleutian.
The Aleutian Islands is right. What is the longest stage of the cell cycle, accounting for roughly 90% of the total cycle time? Prophase, interphase, or anaphase? Daniel.
Interfaith.
Interphase is right. Punished for cheating death, what figure in Greek myth was forced to roll a massive boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down as it neared the top for all eternity? Adar.
Sisyphus.
Sisyphus is right. In what became known as the sweater speech, who famously wore a cardigan when asking Americans to turn down their thermostats amid an energy crisis? Rajal.
Carter.
Jimmy Carter is right. In 2025, Governor Maura Healey signed an executive order establishing the first ever poet laureate of Massachusetts. At the ceremony, the governor read, "Hope is the thing with feathers," a notable work by what 19th century poet from Amherst? Peter.
Emily Dickinson.
Emily Dickinson is right. We are off to a fantastic start, but let's take a moment to thank the folks who make this show possible. Major funding for High School Quiz Show is provided by Safety Insurance.
It happens every day. Someone falls for a phishing scam. Cyber risk coverage from Safety Insurance is designed to help protect businesses from data breaches, ransomware, and other cyber attacks. Safety Insurance will help you manage life's storms, even the cyber kind.
Additional funding is provided by the Museum of Science, Massachusetts Teachers Association, Brightbound, UMass Amherst, Subaru of New England, and Direct Federal Credit Union. Welcome back. The score is Belmont with 80 points, Brookline with 60. Got a close one, so let's get back to the game. Which branch of the U.S. Armed Forces uses the motto Semper Paratus, meaning always ready? Simon.
Marines.
No. Belmont, you have a chance here. Joe.
Coast Guard.
The Coast Guard is right. Semper Fidelis for the Marines. A Dallas company called Colossal Biosciences claims it has genetically engineered what extinct real-world wolf, popularly associated with the Stark children in the fantasy series Game of Thrones? Simon.
Direwolf.
Direwolf is right. In 1808, what English chemist proposed that each chemical element has its own corresponding atom? John Dalton, William Crookes, or Humphrey Davy? Rejao.
Dalton.
John Dalton is right. In 2025, at age 21, who became the first American woman in a decade to win the French Open singles title? Daniel.
Williams.
No. Brookline, you have a chance here. Jack.
Goff.
Coco Gauff is right. Designed to study the history of the universe, what telescope launched in 2021 is the largest and most complex space telescope ever built, according to NASA? Jack.
James Webb.
James Webb Space Telescope is right. The banh mi sandwich was invented in the late 1950s in what present-day country in Southeast Asia? Andrew.
Vietnam.
Vietnam is right. Which mid-Atlantic U.S. state was established by an English Catholic, Cecil Calvert, as a safe haven for a Catholic minority? Rejao.
Maryland.
Maryland is right. Sold at auction for $4.6 million, the iconic white subway dress was made famous by what actress in the 1955 film The 7-Year Itch? Grace Kelly, Rita Hayworth, or Marilyn Monroe? Adar.
Grace Kelly.
No. Belmont, you have an opportunity here. Peter.
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe is right. According to World Population Review, which New England state has the highest percentage of people with French ancestry at about 12%? Jack.
Maine.
Maine is right. Namesake of the sea separating New Zealand and Australia. In 1642, what Dutch explorer saw and named New Zealand, but left without ever setting foot on land? Simon.
Tasman.
Abel Tasman is right. What star of the Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, is the first man since James Dean to earn 2 Oscar nominations for Best Actor before turning 30? Jack.
Chalamet.
That is correct. A novel about the legacy of slavery. Ya Jesse's debut novel, Homegoing, follows 2 half-sisters born in what country known as the Gold Coast during the transatlantic slave trade? Andrew.
Ghana.
Ghana is right. In his inaugural address in 1949, which U.S. president contrasted America with the Soviet Union by asserting that we have sought no territory? Andrew.
Truman.
Harry Truman is right. That is the end of the round. The score is Belmont 150 points, Brookline just behind with 120 points. Let's hear it for both teams. Last week, Mansfield beat Somerville to earn a spot in the quarterfinals. In today's match, Belmont and Brookline are both hoping to advance. Now, the head-to-head round is next. But first, we're going to take a minute to get to know the players. Belmont, we'll start with you. Andrew, I'm told you own an unusual animal.
Yeah, so I'm the proud owner of Kramig, who is a stuffed panda, and I have brought him to all of my tournaments. He has a little bow tie, and he just has so much experience in this type of thing. So
All right, he's not helping you with any answers right. I wouldn't want to have to kick him out of the studio.
maybe just telepathically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Peter, this is not the first time you've been in the high school quiz show studio, right?
Yeah, that's right. So many years ago, by which I mean 6 years ago, I was in the audience watching another of Belmont's games. That's kind of what got me into trivia and Quiz Bowl and all of that stuff.
A real inspirational moment. Maybe you're inspiring another one of these young people in the audience today.
I hope so.
To take up the banner one day. Daniel, I hear you're a writer.
Yeah, I like to write poetry. I don't think any of it's particularly good, but I have a lot of fun.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I don't know if I could tell the difference between good and bad poetry. So, hey, A+. Rejao, you have a favorite plane.
Yeah, that's true. It's the Airbus A220. I like it because it's a 3-2 configuration, so there's 3 seats on one side and 2 on the other, so it's a little more space compared to some other planes.
I want to say, first of all, it's extremely normal to have a favorite plane. I think I flew on one of those this week. It kind of catches your eye. Filling out the Belmont team, we have alternate Vedant and coaches Michael Gao and Megan Newton. Okay, Brookline. Jack, you share a birthday with some well-known folks.
Well, I was born on the same day as John Lennon and his son Sean Lennon.
Does that put any pressure on you to be a songwriter, artist?
No, I just think it's fun.
All right, well, you can imagine one day. Simon, you love drawing maps. What do you do that for? Is it just a way to, when you aren't paying attention in class, or is it for a good purpose?
Well, that too, but I've like always enjoyed world building, designing fictional histories, and the maps kind of just allow me to like put that on paper. It's also just very fun to kind of like go through and think of all the science and the history behind your map.
So when you're reading Lord of the Rings or something, you're spending more time on that first page than the rest of the book?
Yes.
Adar, you're a scuba diver right here.
Yeah, I got certified a few weeks ago during the holidays. I went to Playa del Carmen south of Cancun, and I saw a bull shark and a manta ray and a turtle.
Wow, so did you get the bug? You're going to be into this for a while?
I think so. I want to go diving in the Red Sea next.
Say hi to Nemo if you see
Of
him.
course, of course.
Julian, you recently earned an interesting certification that I don't quite understand.
So it's a level 1 high power certification it's for rocketry, and there are 3 levels, each of which, unlocks a slightly higher impulsive motor. You get the certification, and you can then buy larger motors to make bigger rockets.
How high can a rocket like that get?
It could be a couple miles if you really wanted
Okay.
to, maybe one day.
All right. Also on the Brookline team, we have alternates Erica and Akash and coach Adam Freed. Let's hear it for both teams. Okay, it's time for the head-to-head round. In this round, correct answers add 10 points to the team total, and wrong answers result in a 10-point deduction. The clock is set at 90 seconds. You guys want to have a quick handshake? Okay. Here we go. Which U.S. state is home to Arlington National Cemetery?
Virginia.
Yes. A haiku is a poem that typically consists of how many lines?
3.
Yes. Who auditioned multiple times before she was finally cast as Glinda in the movie Wicked?
Ariana Grande?
Yes. The city of Chicago gets most of its water supply from which Great Lake?
Michigan?
Yes. Arabica and Robusta are 2.
Coffee.
Yes. Alaska is bounded to the north by the Beaufort Sea and which ocean?
Arctic?
Yes. The NASA rovers Curiosity and Perseverance are currently exploring which?
Mars?
Yes. What Arizona city is the nation's most populous state capital?
Phoenix?
Yes. What color are the walls of the room in the classic bedtime book Goodnight Moon? Green. What highly influential art style was co-founded in Paris by Braque and Picasso?
Cubism.
Yes. In the river valleys of Southeast Asia, what grain is typically grown in flooded?
Rice.
Yes. Which city is home to the Canadian Parliament?
Ottawa?
Yes. By definition, petrology is the study of what? Rocks. Easter Island is in Polynesia, but officially belongs to
Chile?
Yes. Ernest Hemingway's novel A Farewell to Arms is set during the
Spanish Civil War?
No, World War I. After Antarctica, which continent? We're looking for Australia there. That's the end of the round. Let's take a look at the score. Belmont has 220 points. Brookline has 160 points. Let's give it up for both teams. All right, it's time for the category round. Today's categories are All Rise, Naughty by Nature, Forever Young, Free for All, Ready Player One, and Oh Mary. All categories have 5 questions with increasing point value. Teams will choose 2 categories each and have the option to toss 1 question per category to the other team that the other team must answer. Players, you are able to confer. Okay, Belmont, who is your spokesperson?
Me.
Andrew, great. And Brookline, how about you?
Me.
Okay, Jack. Brookline, you've got a little bit of ground to make up on the score, so you get to pick the first category.
Ready Player One. I think we know games.
We're going with Ready Player One.
Ready Player One. These are questions about video games. For 10 points. Released as an arcade game in 1972 by Atari, what simple game of 2-dimensional table tennis became wildly popular and helped launch the video game industry?
Pong.
Pong is right. For 15 points, most Grand Theft Auto games are set in fictional parodies of U.S. cities. For example, San Fierro is based on San Francisco, and Vice City is based on what Florida city?
Pass.
We're looking for Miami. For 20 points in Ready Player One. Originally named Princess Toadstool, what iconic character is typically the damsel in distress in Nintendo's Mario franchise?
Princess Peach.
Yes. For 25 points. Often featured on lists of the best video games of all time, what 1981 classic arcade game features amphibians trying to cross a busy road and a dangerous river without getting killed?
Frogger.
Frogger is right. And for 30 points, game designer Will Wright was inspired to create a virtual dollhouse after losing his home in a fire and subsequently rebuilding his life. This became what best-selling game first released in the year 2000?
The Sims.
The Sims is right. Belmont, your first category.
All rise, please.
All rise. These are questions about the U.S. Supreme Court. For 10 points. People ask me sometimes, when will there be enough women on the court? And my answer is, when there are 9. What justice, the first Jewish woman to serve on the court, said this in 2015?
Ginsburg.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes, that is correct. For 15 points, what 1954 Supreme Court decision unanimously held that racial segregation in public schools is unconstitutional?
Brown v. Board of Education.
That is correct. For 20 points, in 2023, the Supreme Court ruled that race-based college admissions had violated the Equal Protection Clause of which constitutional amendment?
14th.
Okay. 14th.
That is correct. For 25 points, in All Rise, name the only U.S. president to later serve on the Supreme Court, serving as Chief Justice from 1921 to 1930.
It is Taft.
Taft.
William Taft is right. And for 30 points, what 1803 decision established the principle of judicial review, which means the Supreme Court has the final say in interpreting the Constitution?
Marbury v. Madison.
That is right.
Good work.
Brookline, your next category to you.
Naughty by Nature.
Naughty by Nature. These are questions about fictional villains. For 10 points. In the animated Disney film 101 Dalmatians, what villain is known for her unique style, devilish nature, and obsession with fur coats?
Cruella.
Cruella de Vil is right. For 15 points, a mathematics professor turned master criminal. What evil genius is called the Napoleon of crime by Sherlock Holmes?
Moriarty.
That's correct. For 20 points. Chosen for his distinctive baritone, what actor who voiced Darth Vader recorded all of his lines in just 2.5 hours for the original Star Wars film?
James Earl Jones.
That's right. For 25 points in Naughty by Nature. In the Lord of the Rings series, what ancient Dark Lord forges the Ring of Power in an attempt to rule Middle-earth once and for all?
Sauron.
Sauron is correct. And for 30 points. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. What psychotic computer says this when refusing to open the pod bay doors in the film 2001: A Space Odyssey?
Hal.
Hal is right. Belmont, to you.
Forever Young.
Forever Young. These are questions about psychology. For 10 points. Sigmund Freud saw the human psyche, or personality, as divided into 3 parts. What was Freud's term for the instinctive and primitive part?
Id.
The id is right. For 15 points. Someone with arachnophobia has an intense and irrational fear of what?
Spiders.
That's right. For 20 points, in Forever Young, what Russian scientist developed the concept of the conditioned reflex while conducting an experiment in which he rang a bell shortly before presenting food to dogs?
Pavlov.
Ivan Pavlov is right. For 25 points, an archetype is a pattern that's universally recognized by people of different eras. Archetypes were proposed by Carl Jung to refute what English philosopher who argued that people are born in a tabula rasa, or blank mental state?
Is it lock? Is it lock? I think that's lock.
Do we want to go with it?
Pass or no? I think probably lock. Lock. Try and go for it.
Locke.
John Locke is right. For 30 points. What American behavioral psychologist invented his namesake box to train laboratory animals to perform complex and sometimes amazing tasks, such as teaching pigeons to play table tennis?
Skinner.
B.F. Skinner is right. That is the end of the category round. The score is Belmont 420 points. Brookline has 345. Let's hear a little love for both of these teams. Okay, we are heading into the final round of play, the lightning round. Correct answers add 20 points to the team total, and there is a 20-point deduction for incorrect answers. Okay, clock is set. Here we go. Massachusetts native Clara Barton was nicknamed the Angel of the Battlefield as a nurse during which war? Andrew.
Civil War.
Yes. In Greek mythology, what beautiful young man fell in love with his own reflection? Adar.
Narcissus.
Narcissus is right. Sue Sylvester is among the faculty at William McKinley High, a fictional school in what TV series? Glee. Costa Rica is home to 3-toed and 2-toed species of what? Simon.
Gecko?
No, sloth. Who is best known for his epic poem Paradise Lost? Andrew.
Milton.
Yes. Originally meaning platoon, what 7-letter French word refers to the main group or pack of cyclists in a... Rejao.
Peloton?
Yes. In office for just 49 days in 2022, who was the shortest serving prime minister? Jack.
Truss.
Yes. In Major League Baseball, what city is home to the Blue Jays? Peter.
Toronto.
Yes. At the 2004 Democratic National Convention, who delivered a keynote address titled the... Rejao.
Obama?
Yes. What U.S. state is home to Lehman Caves, a large cavern at Great Basin National Park? Simon.
Nevada?
Yes. Often called the father of modern chemistry, what French... Peter.
Lavoisier.
Yes. A Confederate garrison surrendered to Union forces at the 1863 siege of Vicksburg in which U.S. Andrew?
Mississippi.
Yes. Set entirely in Dublin, what James Joyce novel? Jack.
Portrait of the Arts of the Young Man.
No, Ulysses. What flap of cartilage in the throat prevents food and drink? Simon.
No.
We're looking for epiglottis. And the winning team is Belmont with a final score of 560 points. And Brookline finishes with 345. Congratulations to both teams for a great game. Belmont now moves on to the quarterfinals. Join us next week for the match between Buckingham Brown and Nichols and Cambridge Ringe and Latin. This is going to be one to watch, so be sure to join us right here on High School Quiz Show.